I think, yeah, overall, I feel as though more people can agree on topics when it comes to training, whereas nutrition is still like the Wild West where everybody seems to be arguing with each other. Everybody has their own theories. Everything on the planet can kill you and give you cancer. It seems to be there's still a lot to learn, I would say, when it comes to nutrition.
Um, that there's a lot of really accurate stuff there. Um, one of the big this is not entirely true because there are people who do this for training as well, but nutrition I think is more personal to people than training. And it's more of they really what you put in your body is kind of, my body is a temple kind of bullshit. So a lot of people find themselves not just invested into nutrition and learning what is good for their body, but they find themselves to be kind of an expert in their own body, so they think. And because, the keto diet worked for them once, it's the greatest diet ever. People identify more with their nutrition sometimes than they do with their training. Now, of course, some people will die on the train to failure or reps and reserve hill, and there's tons of battles there. But the nutrition thing is deep and personal, and a lot of people think they're qualified to have a deep opinion on it, where in reality they just have their own experience and some Reddit articles they read. There is a very awesome way of putting this by nerd alert. My favorite economist. I have one of those. How many people can say that? So, I'm not getting laid. But my favorite economist, Brian Kaplan, he had an excellent way of putting it. He said he was talking about economics and economic policy, like what to do about unemployment with your minimum wage. A lot of people have really, really intense opinions about it, but they don't know much about it. Like, where's their intense opinions? And he basically, I think he referenced talking to his dad, who is a PhD in electrical engineering. And his dad has all these opinions about politics and economics that, because Brian Kaplan's a trained economist, he's like, well, 90% of this is totally wrong. It's just not up for debate. You're just completely loony. But the dad's like, I know I'm right. Whereas take a field like electrical engineering, might go in Dubai and get a microphone and ask people like, hey, what do you think about like how we should treat workers? They'd be like, oh my God, tons of people will tell you that. Like, okay, what do you think about the different competing theories in electrical engineering? They're gonna be like, some combination of don't know and just couldn't be bothered to give a shit. Training's a little closer to that, where people like, whatever, how many sets of reps do I have to do? And you're like, do this. And they're like, okay, fine. They do it and they get results. Great. But with diet, a lot of people are like, you're like, hey, okay, so I'm going to ask you to eat some carbohydrates. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're going to put sugar in my body? You're trying to fucking kill me? And you're like, wait, what? How do we get to that? You know what I mean? Deeply held personal convictions exist more in nutrition than in training. And so sometimes someone's really coachable in training. You try to give them some nutrition input or ask, and they're like, I got that all squared away. Don't you worry. I'm on day 290 of not seeing a carbohydrate. And you're like, all right, very well. So yeah, people do carry that really close. Though I must say, um, you said something at the end there, which is like, we kind of like need to learn more and more research. Nutritional science in its modern incarnation in 2024 is actually very well understood. It's not perfectly understood by any means, but it's a very well understood. And I think something like 90% of the controversies in nutrition are just people who don't really know things, speaking about things very confidently in nutrition. They're just wrong. And some of these people, unfortunately, are pretty high ranking members in academia. I mean, there's like Lustig, Dr. Lustig is like, I think he's at Harvard. And there's like 3 or 4 of these people that are the most top tier institutions in the world, and they're diehard low carb zealots. Like, low carb is great and carbs are bad. And the thing is, they don't publish typically in nutritional journals because they would just get rejected. Their publications would get rejected because it's like nothing you're saying is valid. You didn't do a proper literature review. And most professional societies of clinical nutritionists, sport nutritionists, they look at these people like clowns. Like, dude, you're just completely off in Neverland. Nobody agrees with you that knows things. But when you have a PhD, you're a Harvard tenured professor, and you have 3 best-selling New York Times books about how carbs are going to fucking kill you. You got 2 million Instagram followers. You're an expert. And then there's this illusion that there's a lot in nutrition that's super controversial. Not to professionally trained nutritionists usually. No, there's definitely controversies. But like, for example, if you go and you ask professional sports nutritionists, like, hey, do you think calories matter? Or is that kind of a myth? they probably 90% of them wouldn't even understand the question. They'd be like, what do you mean? What are you saying? They're like, do you think, like, how many calories you eat? Do you think that impacts my physique? And they're like, what? Of course. What are you, crazy? Yes. What? But you ask other people, and they're like, nope, calories are bullshit. It's not a controversy for those folks. The controversy, I don't want to say is manufactured. It's totally organic, but it's coming from people that are outside of the professionally trained ranks and the majority consensus of that. So nutrition isn't super controversial in reality. It's a deep scientific core, but on the periphery of folks that think they know things about nutrition, oh my God, you get the carnivore people and the vegan people. And I always say, I want a gladiator style arena, the Coliseum, with like the fucking lion den and the little water area. And I want vegans and carnivore people to fucking fight each other. I think vegans typically aren't super big and strong. It's like 2 vegans for every carnivore, bro. I would pay good money to see that shit. I'm talking about bladed weapons, man, swords, axes, the whole deal. I want to see it go down.